Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It's in morning after the night before. It's Friday, the 26th of September. I hope you're all well. I'm joined by Chris Jack this morning. How goes it, Chris?
Aye, fine, I suppose. Here we are once again. I like that phrase, "morning after the night before." How many times have we used that of late? But aye, another interesting 90 minutes and another interesting 30 minutes for us to get into it.
Yeah, Chris messages in, he sums it up. Morning briefing. Yeah, I feel like we've been here before. We'll use it as a bit of therapy, folks. If you want to get your points across, please do, and we'll get through as many as we can. But Rangers losing to Genk last night. Before we get stuck into that and look ahead, I guess, to Sunday. A quick word for our podcast sponsors, Willows Fencing, the Glasgow-based fencing company you can trust, proud partners of the Rangers Review with over 20 years of experience in the fencing game. These are the guys to call, folks, if you need a new fence. No job is too big or too small for them. They offer free consultations and you get 10% off with the code Rangers Review over on their website, which is willows-fencing.com. Seems like only about 20 minutes since I was on with Blair last night, but it was a late one. Would have been even late for you, Chris, but just your thoughts on what unfolded at Ibrox. I think Rangers, it was 1-0 going on about 3 or 4, let's be honest. Genk missing a number of opportunities. Rangers far too easy to play against, as we have already seen. Russell Martin said that the sending off had a big impact on the game. I knew he would say that. Looking for an excuse for what was another inept Rangers performance. But Mohamed Diamandi sent off straight red in the first half. Rangers denied a penalty after a VAR check. Genk given one after a VAR check, which they missed, but they made their one-man advantage count, I guess, in the second half when after missing a barrel load of opportunities, finally managed to get one past Jack Butland. Rangers huffed and puffed, but it was unacceptable again, just offering very little in attacking sense and wide open at the back. What did you make of it?
I don't actually know what else to add to that and what else that we can say, which I know doesn't bode well when we've still got 28 minutes to go, but
that'll do it for today.
Thank you for joining us. But it does feel like Groundhog Day. The comments that we're seeing, the comments that you're flashing up, the social media reaction, the people that you speak to at Ibrox, people that you know, family, friends. It's the same points being made because it's the same mistakes being made time after time after time, and a head coach who refuses to see any of those issues and refuses to take any responsibility for any of those issues. Ultimately, all we can say is Russell Martin should not be Rangers head coach because it's not getting any better, it's not working, it's not going to get any better, it's not going to work. And anyone who has an alternative opinion to that, I would love to hear it. I would love to see and hear what they believe is good about this setup and what is going to unfold, because there is nothing for those Rangers fans to buy into. There's nothing for them to grasp onto. We spoke obviously at length after the Hearts game, which already feels like such a long time ago. And we can laid out that once the fans start turning off, once they start being disengaged, once that anger turns to apathy once again, the board have got a real problem on their hands. I think that was the lowest attendance for a European fixture since Rangers come back up to a top flight. If that doesn't set alarm bells ringing, then nothing will. Purely on, we could all have opinions on football matters. On purely financial terms, nights like last night are unsustainable. You can't afford to have, when you're charging nearly 50 quid a ticket, you can't afford to have 10, 12, 15,000 empty seats and all the associated income that comes with that. A game against Genk at Ibrox in previous Rangers sides, Genk turned up, they're not very good, they're dispatched. Rangers win fairly comfortably, and it's 450,000 euros onto the bottom line. Russell Martin, his presence last night cost Rangers in a football and financial sense. It simply cannot go on. But there's nothing to suggest right now, as we speak at 9:30, that it's going to change. And that's ultimately on the board. That's on the executive. That's on. It's obviously it's their money. It's their call. But find me a Rangers fan that has an opposite opinion, and find me a Rangers fan that sees what Russell Martin is seeing.
Here. Gaz Jones with the point says, I'm glad Chris pointed out the obvious to Russell Martin last night. Let's play that clip of your question you posed to the Rangers head coach after the game last night.
The Rangers have had in the European game since they come back into the top flight. Obviously, saw the protest on Saturday. More chance against yourself tonight. What gives you the belief? What are you seeing that Rangers fans are not seeing?
Well, the way the players train, the way they stick together in the second half, the feeling inside the training ground. So I can't control anything else apart from that.
So there you go. That was his response to that. Also, one of the points he mentioned in the press conference, and Maestro brings it up. He says, can't believe he said they never split us open yet. He said in his first answer, actually, about the game and his opinion of it. He said, I thought we looked a threat. They had a couple of moments, but they didn't cut us open. They were cutting Rangers open in the opening 10 minutes of the game, Chris. There was a warning signs already there. So I was thinking, if they've got their shooting boots on tonight, if they present opportunities, which they did, to be fair to who was fluffing his lines up until he scored the goal, then it could have been a much more handsome victory for what is, let's be honest, an ordinary Belgian team. There's a comment a few moments ago saying Rangers of last season, of seasons gone by, would have wiped the floor with this team. Let's not beat about the bush. They're not exactly, well, I was going to say a Man United, but a Man City or a Liverpool coming to Ibrox. Rangers should be beating teams like this. And for me, defensively, second half, when you go down to 10, pretty much, and I said this last night away to Bruges, when you're down to 10, why are you continuing to play the same way, expansive football? You make yourself compact, you make yourself organised, hard to beat, and then look to hit on the counter and you adjust things. The spaces that were afforded to Genk, it's bewildering to me why a manager of this guy's repute, apparently the outstanding candidate for the job, can't see and can't organise a backline and be aware of dangers. I just can't get why he's unable to see that.
That line about they didn't cut us open, it stood out as soon as he said it. There's a few times in this job where you sit in the press conference and it's generally a manager rather than a player, and a manager gives an overview of a game and he then gets up, walks out the room, and people just turn and look at each other, and you're bewildered as, have we just sat through that press conference? But have we just watched the same game that he's watched? How Russell Martin can say that Genk didn't cut Rangers open last night? Well, the goal is the most obvious example. That is one pass that takes out the entire team, and who had a fairly poor night because he's not a great striker. That's a law of averages, means that he's going to take one. He deserved his goal almost just for keeping popping up in the right place at the right time. But Rangers were so easy to play against. But as I said at the top of the show, that's not a surprise. That is just how this Rangers team operate under this head coach. They don't defend properly. They're too easy to play against. They're too easy to play through. And at the other end, they offer very, very little. Russell can talk up we stuck together and we tried to be aggressive and all the usual buzzwords. How many clear-cut chances did Rangers create last night? I know it's more difficult down to 10, but that's not an excuse that I'm buying. Even with 11 men on the park, Rangers didn't offer anywhere near enough. It didn't cause Genk anywhere near as many problems as they should have done. And as you said there, Derek, previous Rangers managers, not even Gio's team that got to the final, they would have taken them apart fairly easily, and it would have been a really comfortable night. Even like a first season Gerrard side, when they're going through all these qualifiers and they're building and they're learning and they're adding players all the time. A first season Gerrard, given the absolute mess that he inherited, a first season Gerrard side beats Genk fairly comfortably because they showed that they were able to beat sides of a far higher standard than Genk. and especially at Ibrox, especially on the first evening, a chance to get this campaign off to a good start. Now, we spoke the other day there about qualification, and we know what you need. You need to take advantage of your home games. You can pinpoint the away games that are the most likely ones to pick up results. 90 minutes in, Rangers have already made the task more difficult than it should have been. And speaking there about coefficient points and prize money and the bottom line, European football is really important to Rangers. They cannot afford to be passing up opportunities like Genk at Ibrox in the manner that they just have.
Yeah, the season domestically has been a disaster, but I was clinging on to the fact we had Rangers Thursdays, but that is also in the bin now that Russell Martin is at the helm. I no longer feel expectant of Rangers winning games in this Europa League. We've got a game next Thursday away in Graz against Sturm Graz. No chance Rangers are picking up anything in that game for me unless they make a change managerially. I actually don't think they're going to get out of this section if they don't make a change. I said, got a bit stick during the week. I said Livingston's a bigger game. It is a bigger game for me. Rangers can afford to lose this game. But if they want to progress and make it to the knockout phase of the competition, they're going to have to make a change in manager for me because, I can't see them picking up. If they can't pick up points at home to Genk, where else are they going to pick up points? This should have been a banker for me. Moving on from that, just sticking with the theme of Russell Martin, we touched on his press conference there. I thought his interview on TNT Sports, was appalling. Had a go at the interviewer and was a bit narky and was really short with him. I don't think that was called for, but that just tells of someone, again, Chris, that is not seeing what he wants, really, and it's not working for him.
Whatever he wants it to look like, I'm not quite sure. Again, this is something that we've spoken about after a number of games already this season. I don't really see what Rangers are trying to do. As we mentioned a couple of minutes ago there, defensively, it's not working. It's never looked like working. Rangers are not solid enough. They're too easy to get at. And middle to front, what is the plan? Apart from possession for possession's sake, how often have we seen Rangers actually go and, speaking about cutting teams open, Rangers don't do that. No, they have so much of the ball and have so little end product for it. They just don't look like a side that's capable of winning matches. They did, obviously, on Saturday, and there was a bit of a feel-good factor round about the club on the back of that victory over Hibs. First thing that we said on the show at the start of the week was, it's one game. Let's everybody just calm down and see where we are. And a couple of days later, we are where we all believe we would be and feared we would be, because this side and this head coach are ultimately not good enough.
Yeah, we'll talk about the front line more so in a little minute, but thank you to David. He's very kindly donated to the channel. Says, bit of a side issue to everything. I'm fed up of developing other teams' players every year when we have great player in Curtis. Moore looks terrified. And thank you to Darren P for the donation as well. Cheers, buddy. This time next week, we could be bottom of the SPFL and bottom of the Europa League. It's dire stuff. It really is. I want to take this point from David, though, and discuss Moore. I didn't expect him to start last night. I thought, given his form, that Russell Martin would make a change. Oliver Antman or Finlay Curtis, I thought would have got the nod, but they never. He's continuing to play Mikey Moore for reasons that are unbeknown to me. He's a kid that is, let's be fair to him, it's a tough environment for him to come in, for any player being asked to do what Russell Martin is asking these players to do. That being said, he should be nowhere near the Rangers first team just now, and I have my doubts whether we'll see the real best of him. Rangers, of course, paid a loan fee to bring him in here, and he's not exactly on peanuts this season. He just looks like another one in a long line of youngsters that come down from England that come to Rangers, and they're just nowhere near ready to perform for a club like Rangers. For me, he should have picked a team in the Championship where the expectation levels are nowhere near what they are at Rangers. I think that would have aided his development a little bit more. This isn't going to work, Chris, is it?
I think Rangers will be good for Mikey Moore. Time will tell, and the jury is out on how good Mikey Moore will be for Rangers. I think come the end of the season, he will have been through an awful lot. He will have played a lot of minutes. He will have been through some really difficult times. Hopefully, he will have had some good times as well, and hopefully those good times are to come at some point this season. I think the experience of being here will really bring him on as a young player. You're coming into a really tough environment, a really demanding environment, but the type of environment that can, if you apply yourself in the right way and you embrace some of the madness that's round about here, it can be good for you. That process only works so if you're playing at the right time. And like you, I don't think he should have started last night. I don't think he has. I don't think his form has been there over the last couple of games to merit a start in a game of that magnitude. You go and you spend the money on Ant-Man. You talk him up. He was a key target over the summer. I'm not saying that he's been brilliant. There's still questions I think to answer over him, but he is more. He's more established. His record last season in Holland speaks for itself. You would think there's more chance of him being able to come in and handle everything round about Rangers right now than Mikey Moore. Once again last night, Moore just didn't offer enough. There's the shot early on. I think it's Tav that sets it back to him, and a shot that just goes over the bar. Unlucky that one. It doesn't hit the target. Doesn't test the goalkeeper. The one that broke in the box, he goes on to it. He should have left it for Nico Raskin, and Raskin made that point. Myself and Blair were sitting at the end of the gantry, and you can see Raskin's frustration straight away turning to him and saying, "Why didn't you leave it?" That was my one to go into. Apart from that, didn't really get involved. Didn't offer an awful lot. No surprise that he was the first one to be changed. And looking ahead to the weekend, I don't think he's done enough to start off the left. It's clear that that's Gassama's place right now. He's going to be the most effective option off the left-hand side. Off the right, you're looking at Ant-Man or you're looking at Curtis to come in there because, as I say, Moore hasn't offered enough of late, and don't want to pile in on him. Don't want to give him an undue hard time, because I don't think he deserves that. I think that the fans have to be aware of his situation and be aware of what he is at this stage of his career. But the manager has to realise that as well, and it's almost not fair to keep throwing him in when it's clear he's not quite at it. So I don't think there's any doubt that people would like to see Ant-Man or Curtis come in on that flank against Livy this weekend.
Yeah, he's a young boy. I think he'll go on and have a good career. I just think he's at Rangers too early. This is his first loan. He should be at a team in the English League One or a bottom-end Championship team as his first loan, not Rangers playing Europa League Old Firm games and the likes. It's too big a jump for him. So I know he's come on for Tottenham at times. I know he's highly rated down there, but this isn't going to work for me. I'd go as far as to say when Rabbi Matondo's back, I'd rather play him over Mikey Moore. So there you go. That's where I stand on it. I don't know what the agreement is, but I would be saying to Tottenham, listen, this isn't working. You'd as well just send them back January time or whatever, and for the kids' development, and then move on. Other than that, other points we need to discuss. Chermiti started last night, Chris. I said last night, listen, you could be the best striker on the planet. If you're not going to get service, then there's no point. We've said before about the money that's been spent on this guy, and Wesley Hall with the point, Derek. We need to talk about Kevin, our sporting director. I think we do. I think that the sporting department is failing Rangers just now. And I don't just include Russell Martin in that. The money that's been spent, we've seen Ali really saying that the recruitment has been terrible last night on his TNT commentary. And 10 million quid on this boy. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Money should have been spent better elsewhere. Rangers should not be spending £10 million on a project player. A project player for me, Chris, is a Hamza Egeman last year, where you're spending under £2 million for this guy, developing him and then trying to sell him on for big money. This is obscene to spend this amount on this lad. It might turn out good, who knows? But the team needs money spent elsewhere as opposed to up top, where the striker is pretty much dormant.
If you're going to spend that level of transfer fee on a player, he has to come in and make an impact. And that game last night is the sort of arena where you're expected to make an impact. You're expected to be the guy that provides those big moments. I thought overall it was fairly low key from Shermite. Didn't really do an awful lot to catch the eye. But as I said in my analysis piece, and as you've touched on there, he's feeding off nothing. I've made this point about Majowski in previous games. Until Rangers function better in the final third, it doesn't really matter who the striker is, because you're going to be facing a really thankless task. How many touches did Shermite have inside the 6-yard box where you're in real goal-scoring opportunities? And then look at last night and the number of clear chances that he had, and also the most glaring one is the penalty. Incidentally, it's a really good save from Jack Butland, and I think he deserves a bit of credit once again for his performance. But has a penalty. That's a great chance, obviously. There's the one that he should have scored from 6 yards. There's a couple of others. Shermite's not getting any of those chances. Now, one, I don't think he's putting himself in those positions, but to be slightly fairer to him, those in behind are offering nothing to allow him to get into those positions, because once again, chance creation is just such a huge issue for this Rangers side. And until that is resolved, it can be Shermite, it could be Majowski, you could put Danilo back in there. It's not going to make any difference if Rangers don't operate better in the final third. Looking ahead to Sunday, you can toss a coin and pick one of your new summer signings and put them in the team. See, unless there's chances created for them, there's well sticking Blair up there, and I'll do the 5 things, and I'll do all the socials, and we can give Blair a run out, because there is nothing. There's nothing for the striker to feed off, and if you don't give the guy chances, what chances have got to scoring goals?
Yeah, CG NI says Dessers will get 4 against us last night. Certainly. I think you would have netted more than Rangers have had 14 shots in target in the last 5 games. So that is Martin ball in full effect there, folks. This is what we're getting. Certainly not what we certainly expect. Well, given this is the thing. When Russell Martin, I refuse to believe it. In the summertime, when Rangers conducted that extensive search for the new boss, Martin's name always kept coming up, and I just felt surely not. And then came to the point where he was actually in talks and he took over. You're thinking, really? But then you hear the spiel why he was selected, the reasoning behind him being appointed from Kevin Thelwell, and that line being aggressive and ball dominant, and exciting to watch. We've not seen any of this, and that hence why we're seeing punters not turning up to Ibrox. We're seeing the really angry reaction at full time, not just at full time, before games, during games. It is really awful. It really is. And it's not just Martin to me. Fingers are being pointed, and quite rightly, at those who appointed him in the first place. Another issue on recruitment, quite right to highlight the forward line and the distinct lack of opportunities being created in the back line. An issue that's really grating on me, Chris. Now, Jayden McGomez came up here, and last night he was a bit exposed, right? Okay, but I think he's generally done okay. But my issue is, and Kevin Thelwell touched on this in his Rangers TV interview just a little over a fortnight ago, I think, about why they never brought in another left back. He said that there's players there that can fill in if need be. All big clubs, all proper football clubs have 2 players for one position so that they're vying for the place, so that someone doesn't feel too comfortable in that position if he has a stinker perhaps, or indeed if he gets injured, then you've got someone to come in and fill that role. When you round off players that could play there, I'm just not buying it. I think that is real poor recruitment not to bring in someone to vie for that position with him. He knows that he's playing every single week. Again, he's just a kid, 19, a lot of games to play for the young lads, given the fact that Rangers saw seen 3 players depart the building in Ridvan, Jeffrey and Robbie Fraser, and brought in one, a loanee from Brentford. For me, again, recruitment questionable there.
We mentioned it on deadline day when we were live mid-afternoon, like we were talking about Raskin on that show. We mentioned it then. We certainly mentioned it throughout the deadline day show when we were live heading into the window closing, and it stood out as a huge issue for Rangers that there was just not going to be enough competition there. I think Big Homa has been okay, been fine. I wouldn't be any more effusive in my praise of him. I wouldn't be any more harsh in my condemnation of him than that. He's been fine, but as you say, where's the challenge? Where's the alternative? If the alternative is we can use Cornelius on that left back role, fine. But your centre half is then Giga coming in, and the Giga Suta partnership hasn't looked steady. So you try and solve one issue and you just create another issue. I was amazed that Rangers never moved for another left back, even if it was just a loan, just to give them another.
That's mad.
Another
it really is.
And they they run the risk now of being really painted themselves into a corner almost. You're relying on Mikoma to get through an awful lot of minutes between now and January, and you're also relying on him to be at the required level. I think Ali McCoy was speaking about it on the show, on his commentary last night, and he pointed out Mikoma's positioning in those early stages. Again, that's not a surprise. That's something that has been pointed at him since he first made his debut for this club. So left back is an issue, but it's one of
right back's an issue as well, Chris. I mean, look at right back. Max Aarons has been a disaster, and you've got James Tavernier. But the big chat at the course of the summer was Rangers finally getting a right back to take over from Tavernier, and he's basically the only guy there. Dujon Sterling some way away. Even when he comes back, you can't really rely on them, unfortunately, due to his injury issues. But that, on the other side, is a failure for me on recruitment, that they've not properly addressed that.
Aarons is not the answer, is he? That's a signing that I could see when that one first came around and we first reported it on the site. I could see the thinking behind it, but having seen him in action, seen him in this Rangers jersey and in this Rangers side, you could almost write him off already. There's not enough there to suggest that he's going to get better, and that he is going to be this guy that's going to succeed James Tavernier. It's just not there. I think I said a couple of weeks into the season that it was a 50-50 between the two of them. Tav is ahead of Aarons now by quite some distance, not because of his own extremely high levels, just because the Aarons signing has just not worked, and it doesn't look like working. So one of a number of issues in this squad.
Yeah, I have no issue with Tav, incidentally, but Rangers really should have been looking at succession planning, and the whole back line needs revamped, given that both Tav and Sousa are out of contract at the end of the season, and the rest of the guys are just loans. Apart from the one guy they've paid about £3.5 million for, who can't even get in the squad, which again shows up the recruitment for me as being poor this summer. McCoy incidentally said that I look at the recruitment and I wonder what on earth has been going on. So not holding back was Ali last night. All roads lead to Livingston then on Sunday. Well, first of all, King Charles Spaniel, thank you for your donation. Sir, he says it's over to Andrew Kaplan to sort this out now. Heading back after his week in Glasgow, taking in the Hibs and Genk games, he'll be made well aware of the mood, the atmosphere, and what he witnessed last night. So it very much is down to him. And I would like to think that he isn't sort of ignoring what he is witnessing, and he looks to make a decision and a change soon, because the longer this goes on, the more fans are going to just turn their back on Rangers, and I don't blame them for doing so. And the season just peters out. I've said it before, if Russell Martin's at the helm, if he gets the season here, you'd be lucky to make the top 6. Livingston on Sunday. Rangers coming up against a Davy Martindale team who will fancy their chances. Throw in the artificial surface, Chris, and it's got the makings of another miserable afternoon. I can't see Rangers winning this game. I think a draw, perhaps. But it's a sorry state of affairs that you're thinking yourself, can Rangers go out over there and get 3 points? I'm not too sure they can.
Rangers 80% possession, one shot on target. Livingston score late on, header, win the game 1-0. Russell Martin gives us some excuses post-match. I may as well just go and write it just now. If it turns out any different from that, great. If Rangers can go and play well and they can pick up 3 points, great. But ultimately, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change the mood amongst the fans, and it's not going to change their feelings towards Russell Martin. It's not going to change their feeling towards this hierarchy. It's not going to change the calls for change to be made. It's not going to get any better. It's not going to work. The change has to be made, and it's how much damage.
There's no point. Livingston. Let us say. I think. Is the season still salvageable for you, Chris, if a change is made now? It's 9 points. I expect it to be more given after Sunday. But as I mean, the longer it goes on, I think the season peters out for me.
That's why when we spoke after the Hearts game, there was nothing to suggest that the change should not be made at that stage, because all you're doing at that stage is risking. Now, you were risking going out of the cup last week to Hibs. Rangers got away with it. You were risking not winning the Europa League game. They did not get away with it. You're now risking dropping Premiership points. At 9 points, you can, with the right manager, you can just about say, well, there's 3 Old Firm games left, and if we can build a bit of momentum, Celtic obviously have their issues as well. There's maybe something that we can try and do. When it gets into double figures, if Rangers were to get beat on Sunday and it goes to 12, you're not going back from 12. Even if the change is then made on Sunday night and new manager comes in, it's going to take something remarkable for Rangers to hold back a 12-point deficit. And that's the situation that they, after that Hearts game, that was the situation laid out. And if that's not how they were thinking about it, they should have been thinking about it that way, because if you kept Russell Martin after Hearts, you were risking something. It was obvious after that. It was done, and there was no way he was ever coming back from it in the eyes of the fans. And it's what were you willing to risk until it gets to that tipping point. So they got away with it against Hibs, didn't get away with it last night. If they don't get away with it against Livy, it's just the next one. Attention then turns to Falkirk. Attention then turns to the next batch of these domestic games that are coming up as well. And it's only going to take, surely, one more, but it shouldn't have got to that stage. You should not have been in a situation where you allow it to be one more, because the next one could really cost Rangers.
Yeah, incidentally, Davy Martindale for me has got a more impressive CV than Russell Martin. He should have been in the running before. Rangers opted for the current incumbent as a head coach, but there you go. I'm not expecting much, I've got to say. In terms of team selection, I'm at a loss as to how Rangers will line up in that game. Does he make changes? Just think Rothwell came on, showed a bit of energy, had a bit of a run that led to a Barron chance late on. That aside, I think probably Rothwell comes in for Diamandi, perhaps. Other than that, Mikey Moore surely dropped to the bench at least. I would like to see Finlay Curtis given an opportunity. Miovski would start for me as well. Asgard's come in for a bit of stick. Now, speaking to a Wigan fan down here that I know quite well, he's at Wigan for a wee while. He told me he's got a tendency to drift in and out of games. He looks good when you're on top and you're cruising, but he doesn't produce it anywhere near enough. And as I said many times before, it's all right doing it at Wigan and Luton for a spell. It's a completely different ball game doing it week in, week out at Rangers, and I would like to see more from him. Reckon he probably will start the game on Sunday. Any other changes you're expecting, Chris, going into that game? I think the back line probably will just picks itself just now. Middle to front, no changes?
I think the guys that we've touched on in terms of Moore and Sharmiti are maybe the ones that are most at threat. But I think, as I mentioned a wee while ago, it doesn't make a massive difference for me right now. If it's Miovski over Sharmiti, if it's Curtis over Moore, if it's Rodwell over Diomande, could it be better? Potentially. But you know what you're going to get with this Rangers side now. You know what the playbook is going to be, and changes to the team are just tinkering with it, and you're throwing the brown stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks right now. And until there's a bigger change, we're going to be in this holding pattern.
Yeah. Maka says, is there a presser today, Derek? No, there is not a press conference today. So, don't be expecting that a little later on. So, no presser today, folks. So, go and enjoy your Friday, whatever you are doing. We'll chat to you again on Sunday. We'll have all your usual content from Almond Vale as we look forward to that. Is look forward the right term? I'm not quite sure, but we'll call it a day there. Anyway, a big thank you to Chris as ever for sterling work. It was a late night for him last night, early start. Hopefully you've got a much more relaxing day, Chris, today. But join us again on Sunday, folks. Enjoy your Friday, and we'll chat again soon. Bye for now.